Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our IFSA Why You Should Study in Rome with IFSA session. My name is Marcy. I'm the engagement coordinator for IFSA, and I'm so excited for you to join us today. To learn a little bit more about the key features of the IFSA Rome program, which were impactful in your student experience. Before we start, I want to cover a few housekeeping items. We are recording this session to make available to anyone who wasn't able to join us today. And if you don't want to be seen, feel free to turn off your camera, but feel free to turn it on too. Before I begin, just a reminder, we will have plenty of time for questions and answers at the end, but you're more than welcome throughout the session to go ahead and put them in the chat today. Now, I know what you've all been waiting for. You want to hear from our amazing IFSA Rome resident director, so I'm going to turn it over to him. Francesco, why don't you take it away for us today?
Sure, thank you, Marcy. Good afternoon, morning, good evening, everyone. Benvenute, benvenuti. Welcome to Rome, and thank you for participating in this advising session about the IFSA Rome program. Before we start, I would like to say something about myself. My background is in the humanities. I studied literature and film, and as a student, I love to study abroad. I spent a year abroad in Salzburg, in Austria, and then a year in the US at Connecticut College. At some point, I realized that working in study abroad must have been the right fit for me. So I have been working in study abroad administration for about 15 years. I'm so thankful to direct the IFSA Rome program because Rome, and I hope you will soon discover this yourself, is a city where you will never finish to see all the amazing things that it offers. Now, I would like to go over the points that I'm going to mention in my presentation. Next slide, please. So, today's webinar agenda includes some info about the academic offerings at IFSA Rome, an overview of our semester and short-term study abroad options, some focus on IFSA Rome courses and co-curricular activities, some examples of how the students are able to immerse themselves in the local culture and to use the Italian language. We will talk about our academic internships. We will see where the IFSA Rome Center is located, and we will take a look at the student housing and at a typical day in the life of an IFSA student in the Eternal City. We will mention some IFSA-sponsored excursions and extracurricular activities. Finally, we'll watch a nice video produced by the students as a class assignment. And of course, there will be time for questions and answers at the end. And if there is anything not clear when I'm talking, just feel free to interrupt me. Next slide, please. You might already know that Rome is a big destination for study abroad, chosen by thousands of students from all over the world every semester. Traditionally, many students would come to Rome to study subjects like classics and archaeology because of the remains of past civilizations you can see everywhere, or maybe art and religious studies, being Rome the center of Catholicism. IFSA Rome has a bit different focus. Our main academic areas are business and social sciences. This innovative approach leverages the fact that beyond its great historical legacy, Rome is also a contemporary European city, a big player in the economy and a crossroad for international politics. And after all, Rome is the capital of two states, Italy and the Vatican. And I recently learned that it's also the city with the highest number of embassies in the world. Anyway, there is a very modern side to Rome, which is maybe less obvious, but it really complements the more traditional and monumental look we are more familiar with. The picture we see here kind of summarizes the idea. On the top left, you can see the IFSA Rome Center, located in an old building along an important central street, Corso Vittorio Emanuele, just about 100 meters from one of the most Instagrammed Roman spots, Piazza Navona, with its Baroque fountains on the bottom left. This is the students' daily view, so to speak, classic and traditional. But at the same time, as part of their courses and activities, students are familiar with contemporary urban landscapes, like the ones you see on the right. The convention center called The Cloud, which recently hosted the G7 summit meeting, or the iconic concert hall Parco della Musica, both designed by famous architects. So Rome really is a creative mix of past and present, tradition and innovation. And the courses we offer reflect this. In the last month, we added new courses and redefined the structure of our programs, which I'm going to explain now. Next slide, please. So first, we'll take a look at our semester options. The first one is called IFSA Study in Rome. It's a 12-week program, a bit shorter than usual, to be precise, less than 90 days. And this is not by chance. This way, students don't need to obtain a visa in the US, nor the permit of stay once in Italy. And this means less bureaucracy and some relevant money savings for the students. Students in this program will take all IFSA courses. And as Lilian anticipated, the GPA has been reduced to 2.0. The second option is called IFSA Study in Rome Plus. This is a more traditional program in length, 15 weeks in the fall, 16 weeks in the spring semester, and it still offers the IFSA courses. However, the Great Plus is that students can take one course taught in English at Louis University. You can see a picture of the main building of Louis on the right, which is a prestigious, relatively small private university for business and social sciences. For an additional fee, a student can even take 2 courses at Louis. We're very proud to partner with Louis because it's one of the most recognized Italian universities, regularly top ranked in Italy and Europe for academic areas like international relations and business, and boasting lots of CEOs and celebrities who study there or teach at Louis. The GPA requirement here is 2.7. Students in the Plus program will also have the chance to enjoy all sorts of co- and extracurricular activities, sport associations, and so on offered by Louis. Most importantly, they will have the exciting challenge of immersing themselves into the Italian academic system, to familiarize with different teaching styles, to study side by side with Italian and international students from all over the world, which is an invaluable experience. Additionally, we're offering January term and summer options, all based on IFSA courses, and all of them with a GPA requirement of 2.0. Next slide, please. So, January in Rome is a 3-week program that allows students to experience Rome before the beginning of their spring semester back in the US. Just like for any short program, there is no need of a visa or permit of stay. Students take 1 course, International Political Economy, 3 credits, and enjoy a very full schedule of visits to important political and economic institutions. In the picture on the right, you can see the students who completed the program just a few weeks ago during an excursions on top of the Janiculum Hill, definitely one of the best views of the city. Summer in Rome offers 1 or 2 sessions of 4 weeks each, from mid-May to mid-June, and from mid-June to mid-July. In each session, students can take 1 course for 3 credits, and they can also combine session 1 with the summer internship program. Finally, the summer internship program offers 8-week summer internships, starting in late May or in late June. Students gain work experience and develop intercultural skills. There is a mandatory 1 credit Essential Italian course and the internship seminar, which includes online and in-person components for 6 credits. Next slide, please. Now let's focus on the courses. The list on the left shows the 13 catalog courses currently on offer at IFSA Rome. Please remember that in addition to what you see here, we also have Italian language offered at all levels of proficiency from absolute beginners to advanced. The International Internship Seminar, the one I just mentioned, and starting next fall, the possibility of conducting directed research. Among the most requested courses in past semesters, we had forced migration, refugees, and change, which is certainly a burning topic in today's Europe, and also intercultural communication for the global workplace. Now, I would like to especially mention some of the new courses we recently designed: Sustainable Tourism and Italian Art, Power, and Influence. Sustainable tourism explores a growing trend of more responsible, eco-friendly ways to visit places, that can help preserve nature, customs, and lifestyle. The course was actually inspired by the COVID-19 lockdown, when we suddenly noticed that for the first time in decades, Venice had no crowds of tourists and the canals showed crystal clear water. This created a lot of discussion on how mass tourism can be a threat to delicate environments. Being Rome such a huge touristic hub, it just makes sense to study these topics here. The other course I mentioned, Italian Art, Power and Influence, explores the fascinating concept of political soft power. Basically, how art, including literature, cinema, architecture, visual arts, can be vehicle for political messages and even play a role in international relations as a form of cultural diplomacy and influence. And again, being in Rome with all of its monuments and museums is just a perfect fit for this subject. Now, I like to focus on the picture on the right, which lead us to our next point, which is the integration of co-curricular activities within our courses. The picture shows a guest lecture held for the course Forced Migration by Dr. Ilaria Siggia, who is a manager at a European institution called Asylum Support Office. After a lecture, she and the students continued their discussion while having lunch together. And the event was part of a series called Take a Seat at the Table, where IFSA professors invite scholars or people working in course-related industries to talk to the students. And then they share ideas at the table. And the initiative was very successful because I have to say that in my experience, students like to speak directly to people in the field, people who can show a professional side to the disciplines. And just to give you some examples, among our guest speakers who recently came to IFSA Rome, we had an economist, and then we had a manager of a beekeeping farm who explained the advantages of using organic honey. So very interesting discussions. And what is even better, in a very informal setting in front of a pizza. Next slide, please. Here we have a few more examples of co-curricular activities. The picture on the left shows the subway station of San Giovanni. This is a visit which is part of the course Sustainable Tourism. At first, it might sound unusual to visit a subway station, but here is the reason why. A few years ago, as the station was built, workers discovered important archaeological remains. And instead of removing them or stopping the construction of the subway, which is so important for a city like Rome, they decided to include them in the project of the station itself by creating a new free museum for all the subway users. Today, passengers that go to work in the center can admire 2,000-year-old sculptures and artifacts while waiting for their train, and for the same price of the train ticket, which is €1.50. And I think this is a great example of how Rome combines past and present in creative and sustainable ways. And then the picture on the right was taken with students of the Politics of Food and Water course. Rome is a city of water. It has the highest density of fountains in Europe. And this record relies on a network of aqueducts that date back to ancient Rome. And during this trekking in the outskirts of the city, students learn about sustainable ways to provide water to millions of people. Let's go to the next slide. So, cultural immersion and Italian language. All of the activities at IFSA Rome are designed to promote an active engagement of the students within the local community. Here we have some examples. On the top right, you can see our students during the Sustainability Day we celebrated in Fall 21. IFSA Rome partners with Lega Ambiente, which is a famous nationwide association that organizes events to promote environmental awareness. Our students here did some gardening activities and planted an olive tree in a park, which is very meaningful for the local community because it's been created by volunteers to replace an ugly parking lot and offer some more green to the people who live there. Also, in past semesters, we used to organize cooking classes and dinners with Italian families every 2 or 3 weeks. We temporarily had to stop this initiative due to COVID restriction, but I think we are going to restart very soon. Finally, all of our semester students take at least an essential Italian language course for 1 credit, but more frequently, they opt for a beginning Italian or more advanced Italian course for 3 credits. And the study of a local language is really important for a deeper intercultural awareness. But you will see that as students at IFSA Rome, you will start using the language as a sort of a toolkit for everyday situations, shopping, ordering an espresso, maybe talking to Italian friends, because you will be in touch with local students. Every semester, a few students of the Italian university serve as interns for IFSA. And every week, usually on Thursdays, they are available to go out with IFSA students, speak Italian with them while having an aperitivo or gelato offered by IFSA. For IFSA students, this is a fantastic excuse to practice Italian, to learn more about Italian culture, and cultivate new friendships. In the picture, you see the usual place for these gatherings. It's the Barnum Cafe, just behind the corner of the school building. However, I thought that one of our Italian students, her name is Francesca, could explain better than I do the great advantage of getting in touch with local students. So here is a short video made by Francesca in the next slide.
Ciao a tutti ragazzi, I am Francesca, the language intern from the IFSA Study Abroad program. Now, among the many experiences that the program offers you, there's also the language aperitivo. In fact, after you're done with the Italian classes at school, you can join us for an aperitivo. Now, this can be a truly great experience and a great opportunity for you to practice Italian, not only with each other, but also with native Italian speakers. And also, what's the best way to practice Italian than while sipping an Aperol Spritz, a coffee, or eat a tiramisu? In fact, I have so many great memories with past IFSA students, and I hope to see you next. So, ciao ciao!
Thank you, Francesca. We go now
Ciao a tutti ragazzi!
to the next slide. Okay, the next slide is about internships. Internships is a growing trend in study abroad, and we do have many opportunities at IFSA Rome. Most of all, we want to help you achieve your goals for the internship and for your future career. So we will look for an individualized placement that really meets your needs. Here are some recent examples. For instance, Italics Magazine is an English language online magazine covering everything Italy related, and our students can contribute to articles and research. The Circolo Mario Mieli is one of the most important LGBTQI+ association in Rome, organizing cultural events in the city. And finally, the picture on the right shows Grace, one of our Fall 21 students, interning at the Museum Mostra di Leonardo, which is a museum displaying an incredible collection of wooden machines built according to the drawings of Leonardo da Vinci. Grace had different tasks here. Here she was at the front desk welcoming international visitors, but she also took care of the social media profiles of the museum. She even created a promotional video that is now featured on the Facebook page of the museum. This type of internships is a great opportunity for the students, but also for partners like the small museum, which normally would not have the resources for an extra employee. So as an intern here, you can really make a difference. Let's go to the next slide. Now, I'll give you some geographical coordinates about the IFSA Rome Center. It is located in the historic center, sharing space with Italia Idea, which is a language school partnering with IFSA Rome, specialized in teaching Italian to foreign students. This means that you, as IFSA students, will also be in touch daily with other international students in our center. Here is a picture of the historic center of Rome along the Tiber River, between the Vatican, which you might recognize on the top left of the map, and the archaeological area of the Roman Forum, and the Colosseum, which is not visible, but it's on the bottom right. As you can see from the postcards, many famous attractions are all around: Piazza Navona, the Pantheon, the Trevi Fountain, and the open-air market of Campo dei Fiori, which is a usual gathering for our students looking for some light lunch between classes. Students in Rome, as you might know already, don't have a meal plan, So they usually have lunch in the center, maybe Roman pizza bianca, white pizza with vegetables, which is the most common Roman street food, or sandwich. And they can cook at home for dinner. One thing I'm very thankful for is that everything you see here is walking distance, and even students' housing, which is located in the 19th century Prati neighborhood, which is the gray area on top of the map, close to the Vatican, is only about 15 minutes walking distance from school. After a few weeks, this is the area you will know best. And in the end, despite Rome is a big city, there is the perception of a smaller and more familiar dimension. And now, a few words about safety in the city. Of course, Rome is a big city, meaning that students have to pay attention to their surroundings. Any big city is potentially more dangerous than a closed campus. However, if you are aware of this, if you behave responsibly, you will have a safe experience. If we think of crimes like petty theft, statistics tell us that Rome is actually safer than most other European big cities, for instance, like Paris. And in any case, during orientation, we'll spend some good time going over do's and don'ts to make sure that your Roman experience is safe and rewarding. Now, just to give you an idea of a typical day in the life of an IFSA student in Rome, I thought we could take Grace, the student I mentioned who did the internship at the museum, as an example. So I copied Grace Monday's schedule in the next slide. Next slide. Here we see that on the top left. So a student like Grace, who was also doing an internship, would probably get up in the morning around 8:30 or maybe later, depending on having or not Italian language class that day. She would then have breakfast at home, or more likely at Forno Lintozzi, which is a great bakery just around our student apartments. And then she would reach the IFSA center, probably on foot. As I said, it's a 15 minutes walk in the heart of Rome, so really pleasant walk. But she might also decide to take a bus. It's a bit faster, and it costs only €1.50. Some students preferred in the past to buy a monthly ticket. And with a monthly ticket, they can travel as much as they want with any means of transportation, bus, subway, tram, and it costs only €35 per month. So the students would then have class at the IFSA Rome Center. Our semester classes last usually 90 minutes, and then go out for a light lunch. On the right, you can see our students in one of the IFSA classrooms. As you can see, it is a casual environment. However, it is true that university life in Italy tends to be a bit more formal than in the US. So a typical cultural unwritten norm to remember would be maybe avoiding flip-flops in class. And certainly professor would be very surprised if a student goes to class with a pajama on. I'm mentioning this because it happened to me in the past, so now you know. In the afternoon, the student would have maybe your internship time at the museum. The daily schedule, of course, might vary depending on the day, but roughly for internships, there is a total amount of 10 hours per week. And then at night, the student might have dinner with their friends at home, or maybe to go to some of the many restaurants in the Prati neighborhood. Here we have some pictures of activities in a typical day. Class at the IFSA Center, we already saw that, but also dinner with friends. This is also close to the student apartment. Maybe some jogging or workout in the gym. There are different ones in the same neighborhood. And the last picture is actually the entrance of one of our student apartments, which brings me to the next slide. So we have seen the outside, now the inside of the apartments. We rely on housing companies that specialize in providing apartments for American programs, and they do a great job because they are familiar with all the requests and the usual issues of assisting students, from air conditioning to heating to how to use the washing machine and lockout service. These are all, the things that they care for. And the student apartments, as you can see, are modernly furnished. They all have Wi-Fi, of course. and they are all in the Prati neighborhood, which is a very lively area, very close to the center and full of restaurants and shops. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, here we talk about weekends. So classes at the IFSA Center are Monday through Thursday, so students have a long weekend to enjoy Rome or to go outside of the city. For instance, if they decide to stay in Rome, they could do like Kilan, who is the student in the middle. She used to go to the stadium to see the local teams almost every Sunday. But otherwise, you could organize a bike ride in the countryside along the ancient Via Appia on the left. Or if you come, for instance, in September for the full semester, you can also spend some time at the beach of Ostia, which is 45 minutes from Rome, and you can reach it by subway for €1.50. Students can also easily visit other Italian cities, and the high-speed train connections are amazing because in 1 hour or maybe 1 hour and a half, you can be in Florence or Naples. In 3 hours, you can be in Milan. So you can really see half of Italy in a matter of few hours. As you might already know, there is not a semester break in terms of a full week, but students normally have a few longer weekends combining this usual 3 days weekend plus some national holidays that we have during the semester. Okay, let's go to the next slide. I already mentioned the fountains of Rome. The most common ones you will see are the so-called nasoni, which means big nose. And it's the fountain you see here on the top left. You can see them at almost every street corner in the center, and you can always refill your thermic bottle with ice cold water, which is really good. It comes directly from the Apennines. So definitely bring a thermic bottle with you, comfortable shoes because we're going to walk a lot through Rome, and bring also an umbrella because in some periods it can rain a lot. In any case, before departure, there will be a pre-departure session that will let you prepare for your semester in Rome, and I will remind you of all the things that you should not forget. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, excursions and extracurricular activities. I left this slide at the end just because some of the activities you see here were temporarily on hold because of COVID, but hopefully, as things are now going much better, I think we're going to restart them very soon. We always, even during COVID, we always organized some classic excursions that no students in Rome can miss, like the one in the middle, the visit to the Colosseum and Roman Forum, and a guided tour of the architectural highlights in the center of Rome. This is done already during orientation. But in normal times, we would also do some overnight trips. So we have some pictures of the ones we did in the past. For instance, we went to Naples, Pompeii, and Capri. And we went to Tuscany, to Florence and Pisa. We went to Umbria. And they were all both great recreational experiences, but also academic ones, in the sense that some of the visits were also related to topics studied in class. For instance, we organized a cooking class in an agriturismo, a holiday farm in the Umbrian countryside, because it's fun, but also because it was a way to study innovative examples in the hospitality industry. Okay, I think let's go to the next slide. And I think I'll pass the word to Marcy to speak about travel grants.
Thank you so much. So one of the most exciting things, if I were a student studying abroad, would be this travel grant that IFSA is offering to all fall 22 and spring 23 students who would like to, who are participating in IFSA Study in Rome or IFSA Study in Rome Plus programs. You'd receive a $750 travel grant for flights. So that's pretty exciting, a little bit of extra money to buy more amazing food in Rome or however you need to stretch that dollar. And we have a lot of other scholarship and grant opportunities as well that if you have more questions about that, we can totally share the link in the chat later today during the Q&A. So just let us know if you need help finding that, or you can always reach out to us via email afterwards. Next slide, please. Program fees and deadlines. So I'm going to share this slide with my colleague, Danny, who you all get to meet Danny. He's our resident director in Peru. But right here, you'll see some just general information. All this can be found on our website as well. Once again, if you're having trouble finding that, let any of us know and we can help direct you to that webpage. But you'll see the application deadlines for what semester or session you'd like to go in. I know we have a few students on the call. We're looking at fall or summer, so those deadlines are listed there for you. And Danny, I'll turn it over to you to talk a little bit more about program fees.
Thank you, Marcy. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to mention very briefly, remind you what Francesco said about the IFSA study in Rome. It's a 14-week program. It's a shorter program, but that doesn't require a visa. And the cost is slightly lower than the study in Rome Plus, that is a normal semester of 16, 17 weeks. So you see that it's a little higher, but it gives you the opportunity to take a class with Louis University. Louis University, as we mentioned before, is a very well-known university specialized in social sciences. And also, we wanted to remind you about the application deadlines. For the fall, it's May 1st. For spring, it's November 1st. For summer, it's April 1st. And for the summer internship, it's a little earlier because we need more time to actually try to find the perfect or the most accurate match for your interests. So that's important that you take into account that we are always willing to find the best match for what is your professional projection for the future. Right? And then for January, the winter term, the deadline is November 1st as well, just like the spring semester. So we will move into the next slide. Oh, please, we will remind you also that all this information is detailed in the webpage. So you can always go to the Rome program webpage. And then, of course, you have Julissa, our admissions counselor, to help you with that too. I'll go to the next slide now. Julissa, would you like to share a little bit about the application process with us now?
Yes, sure. So I'm Julissa, the admissions counselor for your Rome application. A little bit about me, that is actually me in the photo. In December 2019, I went to Rome and fell in love with Rome and the food and the people. So it's a great destination. I lived in Spain for 4 years. I got my master's there in school management, and I have my bachelor's degree in psychology from Montclair State University in New Jersey. So I will go into the application process. It's pretty straightforward. It happens in phases. So your first step when you apply is you'll upload some basic information like your address, some contact information. You do ask for a passport copy, unofficial transcripts, which means you won't have to go through your university to request an official transcript. And then we also ask that you complete a class interest form. So you will be listing some classes of interest through our website on Chart. That's all pretty straightforward, but if you have any questions about it, you're always welcome to email me and I'll review what you have and we can go over it together. And then if you are applying for the internship, we do ask that you complete an internship interest form, which just asks for your educational history, your goals, any career goals that you might have in your area of focus. And then once you've completed that process, I will review everything and get back to you with anything that needs to be clarified. And then once your application is submitted, you will hear something from me within 3 days. So that's pretty good. We'll get back to you in little to no time. And then you can start the next phase of the application process, which just includes uploading information about your COVID status, your learning plan, and your travel plan. And yeah, we don't have a cap on any on your status, so don't worry about any competition with anyone else. Everyone's accepted, pretty much.
Thank you so much, Jaleesa. So I know a few of you probably have been chatting with her a little bit. So we'd like to share another video. And Francesco, I'll let you explain the backstory to this.
Sure, this is a short video originated as a class assignment for a course we offer, which is called Service Excellence in Hospitality and Tourism. And the professor asked the students to create a video for an imaginary promotional campaign of IFSA. And I found the result gorgeous, and so I'm happy to share it with you.
The Institute for Study Abroad Rome program has a lot to offer. Living and studying in a new country is a perfect opportunity for self-growth and to discover what the rest of the world has to offer. Immerse yourself in the Italian culture and come and join us to see all the amazing things Rome and the rest of Italy have to offer.
Yeah, just one more reminder. I'm sharing in the chat a link to our drop-in sessions. We have drop-in sessions every Tuesday and Wednesday through May 18th. So if you're still kind of figuring out what you're looking for, if you have questions, you can chat with one of our staff members. I know Danny's on a few of these. And you can learn a little bit more about the process, the application, looking for the location that maybe fits what you're looking for, the session or the term, time of year, what you're looking for, depending on where you were in your study abroad journey. So feel free, if you have any questions, to put them in the chat. As you start sending those in, we have a pretty common one that we'd like to share. Francesco, can you tell us a little bit about, for especially American students studying abroad in the fall, there's some pretty key traditional American things like Thanksgiving that sometimes we get a little homesick for when we're looking to miss those big holidays. Is there anything like that in Rome where, American students could feel a little bit of home at that special time of year?
Yeah, actually, yes. There are many American students in Rome, and that means that there are also shops that are now familiar with their usual requests in November, turkeys and other, ingredients necessary for Thanksgiving. And so in the center, there are a few deli shops that actually have all the necessary things to celebrate. And you can also find places that prepare the turkey if you want. So they can also have it delivered at home if in case they don't want to cook the turkey themselves. So there are different opportunities, yes.
Thank you so much. And we have a few more coming in the chat. We have a question from one of our students about if there are any engineering internships available with IFSA Italy. And Danny and Jaleesa, feel free, if you all know the answer to pop on, so we don't have Francesco on the spot the whole time this afternoon or evening for him. Any engineering internships available for Italy?
We haven't had them in so far. One of the main reasons being that we normally, our students are not STEM students. Even if we had a few students graduating in mathematics in the fall, for instance. But we didn't have requests for this type of internships. However, we might look into this. So as we said, we try to find individualized placements for the students, and basing on specific requests, we'll go and look into this, and hopefully we can find something. There are many companies, many engineering studios in Rome, so I cannot tell you now what do we offer, but I can tell you that there might be this option.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Francesco. Another question we have, some folks were wondering about scholarship opportunities. So, it seems like myself and Rachel plopped that in the chat for y'all to go directly to that page. And we have a lot of different opportunities depending on who you are and what you're looking for, and you know, what you would like to share with us here at IFSA. So if you go there, if you're a first-gen student, we have diversity scholarships available, lots of different options. So feel free, if you have trouble finding that after, or if you have more questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us via email, and we can help you figure out what's the best fit for you a little bit more too. Another question we have is there a variety of courses offered for the January winter term in Rome? And I have a second part to the January term. What places are the most beautiful to visit throughout the program while that January session occurs? So Francesco, what do you think? What kind of classes are we taking during that term, and where can we go and explore outside of the classroom?
Yeah, as for the classes, the January term is really short. It's just 3 weeks. So students can take only one class, which is equivalent to a semester class, 45 contact hours, 3 credits. But in order to complete so many credits, we have to concentrate many hours in a few days. So there is usually just one class on offer. So far, we had International Political Economy, which is a class that appeals both to students studying political sciences, but also economy, business. So there are different mix of students. And so this is still what we offer in January. And in terms of the places to visit, there is a lot. My suggestion is that there is so much to discover still around Rome and in Italy that you don't need to travel too much. But as I said, within one hour and a half, you are in Florence, and you can spend a fantastic weekend in Florence. Within 1 hour, you are in Naples. You can visit Pompeii. You can visit the Sorrento coast. You can go to Umbria, which is full of forest and interesting countryside. You can do some trekking. You can do some sports. So really, there is a lot. And usually, I like to give tips to my students. So once you come over, we can have a look at the map and select the places you like the most together.
Thank you. We had a few other folks chime in from our team here at IFSA with more information on work to study experiences as well. We do have some marketing interns that also create great content for us to share online and social, and they receive a stipend as well. So another really great experience would be if you go to a state school. Depending on what school you go to, we can help you figure that out. If you're not sure if you're eligible, you automatically get a $2,000 grant as well. So lots of different options depending on what school you're coming from. Will the session be emailed out to us? Yes, within the next 48 hours, you all will be sure to get a recording of this session for sure. And we have a question about receiving our email addresses, so you can reach out to us individually. I'll go ahead and share my email, and then from there I can help figure out who to best direct you to, since I'm sort of the behind the scenes person on these things. So let me know if there's any way I can help you. For those of you in our application process, I know there's a few of you on this call. Julissa, you've already been chatting with her off and on too. So if it's an application process question, Julissa is going to be your best person to talk to. But for anything else, feel free to reach out to me, and I will share my email in the chat. Great question. Any other questions that we have today? No? Alrighty, folks. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. And Francesco, and Danny and Julissa and Rachel and Javier, thank you all so much for joining us on the call and being some support behind the scenes. We're so excited to have all you students hopefully joining us in Rome in the next few months or years. We hope to see you there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us in this session. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in Rome.
Thank you. We hope to see you all too.
Ciao, ciao. Thank you.
Thank you.